How's it going, guys and girls? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking the first look and going on the first ride with a 30-pound speed and cadence sensor, Magene S3 Plus. Now I think we can all agree that cycling can become quite expensive, but there are various products you can buy cheaper in order to reduce your overall cost. Are speed and cadence sensors in that bracket? So here I have the 30-pound Magene speed and cadence sensors, and I'm going to be giving you a full rundown. I'm going to be unboxing and installing both the speed and cadence sensors. Then I'm going to look at the technical details. Then we're also going to connect them via ANT+ and Bluetooth to a speed sensor and Zwift. Then we're going to go out on a ride and test their accuracy. Now there's going to be a lot going on in this video, so what I've done, I've time-stamped all of those points, so you can simply click on that timestamp in the description below or the pinned first comment, and that's going to take you to the part of the video that you want to see. Okay, so let's take a quick look inside the box. Let's open this up. See what we got. Got some instructions, which we obviously won't read. We've got the sensors themselves, and we've got some pads. Move that out of the way. So let's open these pads up first. So what do we have stuck in there? So they're the two silicone pads, both the same. We've got various bands. That's pretty handy. We have two different size bands, so depending on what you're connecting it to, pretty handy to have both sizes. And the actual sensors themselves, are pretty small. Super light. We'll get them on the scales. So yeah, all good. We've got the two sensors, 4 bands, 2 different sizes depending on what you're connecting it to, and then we got the 2 silicone pads. Let's get them on the scale as well so we can see just how much they weigh for all of you weight weenies. Okay, so we're at 0. So one sensor is 9 grams, literally weighs nothing, and then we've got the silicone pad as well, literally weighs nothing, and the band 11 grams. Now either unit can be set up as speed or cadence, so you could have 2 speed sensors or 2 cadence sensors if you like, which is actually super handy. Now when it's in speed mode, there will be a green flashing light, and when it's in cadence mode, it will be a red flashing light. And if you want to change one sensor from speed to cadence, for example, all you do is remove the battery, then you're going to replace the battery, and that should change it from speed to cadence or cadence to speed. Now it does come with 2 lithium metal batteries. They are included in the pack, so you don't need to buy any extra. Now the unit has an IP rating of 66. To be honest, didn't actually know what that was, but the first number 6 relates to the dust ingress, and the second number 6 is a waterproofing. So both of these units are protected against hazardous parts and dust ingress, so hopefully nothing should get inside. They are also waterproof against powerful water jets and heavy seas. Fancy a cycle in the sea, anyone? Now the batteries are replaceable and they should last up to 500 hours, so you could ride over an hour a day for a whole year and it should be okay. It's worth noting as well that the sensor will go into sleep mode after 1 minute of being stationary, and then when you start pedaling again, it will wake the sensors up. So if it does take a couple of seconds, start sending the signal again, that is why. Now to install the sensors is pretty simple. It's basically a rubber band that hooks on either side of the sensor. So let's have a look how we do that. Now before you install the sensor, make sure it's in the right mode, so speed mode for speed, cadence for cadence, because you can't change the mode once you've installed it. You can take it off and do it, but it's a bit of a faff, so best to get it sorted right now. So we want to make sure that the silicone pad is on the bottom of the sensor. This is going to protect the hub. So what we want to do now is just place the sensor and the silicone pad on top of the hub. And then you're just going to hook the elastic band onto one side of the unit. Now once the elastic band is hooked on one side, what you have to do is kind of reach round and then pull the elastic band round and then clip it onto the other side of the unit. It should be nice and secure. So that is a speed sensor installed. Simples. Now onto the cadence sensor, and this is pretty much the exact same process as the speed sensor. So again, what we want to do is start by adding the silicone pad to the bottom of the sensor. This is going to protect the crank arm. And the next thing you want to do is place the sensor on the left side, so the left crank arm. Now we put it on the left hand side because the drive chain is on the right hand side, so there's not enough space. And then you're just going to pull that elastic band around the crank arm and hook it back onto the other side of the sensor. Done, finito, bish bash bosh, you have your speed and cadence sensors installed. So now we have the sensors installed, how do we connect the sensors? Now to do that, you're going to need something to connect them to. Now this can be either a bike computer or an app, like Zwift for example. Now before we do that, here are a couple of points of note. Number one, and this can catch people out if they've never installed these before, is that you need to actually be pedaling for the sensors to actually send the signal. So when you're searching for the sensor on your device, you need to actually be pedaling on your bike as well. Number two, when you are connected with Bluetooth, the sensors can only connect to one device concurrently. Now, when you are connected via ANT+, you can connect the sensors to multiple devices. If you are connecting via Bluetooth and you are using an app, you do not go into the Bluetooth settings in your iPad. You need to go into the app and then search for the sensors through the app. So open Zwift, for example, and search for the sensors in Zwift. Right, so those 3 points are out the way. Let's get started with connecting these sensors to our device. Now I'm going to start by connecting them to my bike computer via ANT+. So for ease, I've set my bike up on the turbo trainer. That way I can just pedal indoors, not worry about where I'm actually riding, and focus on getting the sensors connected. And what I'm going to do is start pedaling so the sensors are awake and start transmitting a signal. Next, what I'm going to do is go into the settings on my cycle computer and I'm going to try and search for the sensors. Now how you do this is going to vary depending on what device you are using. Now in the settings there is normally search for speed or search for cadence. So what you want to do is just tap on that and make sure your computer is actually looking for a speed sensor whilst you are pedaling. Now once it's picked that up, it should notify you on your computer that you are connected to the speed sensor. And now obviously you're going to want to do the same thing with cadence, so you want to search for cadence sensor and then your computer should hopefully pick it up. From my experience, if you are connecting via ANT+, then it should connect pretty quickly. If you're waiting for a long time, then the chances are there may be something wrong. Right, so we've now connected the sensors via ANT+. Let's do the same thing via Bluetooth. Now do remember, you can only connect to one device via Bluetooth, so if the sensors are connected to another device, you're gonna come into issues. So disconnect them from that device now. What you're gonna wanna do is go into the application of choice. I'm gonna be using Zwift. And within Zwift, you want to go to the location where you can search for sensors. Now remember, you need to do this from within the app. You can't do this from your device Bluetooth settings. And what you want to do is keep pedaling and keep searching and just make sure that you have both the speed sensor connected and the cadence sensor connected. Hopefully this shouldn't take long and the application you are using should pick up both the speed and cadence sensors pretty quickly. So that's the speed and cadence sensors installed. I'm going to head out on the bike for the first ride. I'll see you on the road. Right, so just ridden to the velodrome and the sensors are all good. It picked them up straight away as soon as I started riding. One thing that I like is how quickly they react to actually you're changing speed or cadence. I'm used to riding with the GPS speed, which is much slower to react. So that's one positive if you're swapping from GPS speed to a proper sensor. Windy today. Speed and cadence sensors have been good. They haven't dropped once, so that's what I was looking out for, mainly out on the road. So I just got back from the ride. The sensors seemed like they were working perfectly, no problem with the speed or the cadence sensor. What I've done is I've uploaded the ride to Strava, and I'm just going to check out that ride on Strava and just make sure there's no peaks and no dropouts in the data. So let's do that. Okay, so I've got Strava open and I have the ride open from today. So we can see the overview. The ride was 12.79 miles and it was 50 minutes roughly. So I'm just going to go to the analysis and I'm going to look at the speed here, and we can see there was one drop in the middle, which was the stop in the ride. We can see the max speed is 33.1 miles an hour, which is correct. I've done one sort of sprint and I maxed out at 33 mile an hour, so that's good. It hasn't gone above that. Average speed of 15.4, which was about right. So that is all looking good on the speed. If we look at cadence, we've got a max of 84 and an average of 71. Again, I was checking it when I was out and that's all looking good. We can see that it's pretty consistent as well. So everything is looking okay with the data. All seemed good when I was actually riding. All seems to be looking good on Strava. So overall, has a thumbs up so far. So what is my overriding thought of these Magene S3 Plus speed and cadence sensors? I think they are decent and I would actually advise you getting them after using them for one day, bear in mind. The only thing that could let them down is if they're not very hard wearing or if water or dirt gets in and then they break that way. Seems like they've got a good seal, but I'll have to revisit or maybe do another review after a few months of use. So do subscribe if you want to see that video and see whether these speed and cadence sensors lasted the test of time. So overall, they have the Jourdain Coleman seal of approval. So as always, I hope you got something from this video. Maybe you learned something about speed and cadence sensors, or it gave you the final push to buy these cheaper speed and cadence sensors from Amazon. I will put the link in the description below, and if you do want to buy them from that link, it does help the channel grow and help support and help me create more videos. So thanks again for watching, guys and girls, much appreciated. Until next time, self-love, safe riding.